So, Warwick, we have just mere minutes ago finished our interview with David Nurse. Lots of great things. I know you were really excited about this going into it because you read his book and were really kind of moved by a lot of what he had to say. So let our listeners and viewers know, what's like one big takeaway you'd like them to take with them after they see this episode.
Life is about choice. We use that word often at Beyond the Crucible. And certainly the way David Nurse has led his life, he's made a lot of very good choices. And it's really mindset shifts, which he talks a lot about in the book that we focused on. That was the one that he sent us. It was actually his first book. It's called Pivot and Go, the 29-day mindset blueprint to define and achieve your success. And what's remarkable about David's story is, here he is somebody that's very successful. He had a stint as part of the coaching team with the Brooklyn Nets. He has worked with over 150 NBA players, helping them become better players and just coaching them in all aspects of their life. He's achieved remarkable success, 3 books, speaks all over the place, was voted, I think, one of the top 50 keynote speakers in the world. He's had a lot of success, but yet, as he puts it, he comes from a small town in Iowa, not from any particular background of wealth or influence. And yet he had this dream of being an NBA player. Now, he's not short, he's 6'2", but as any basketball fan will know, 6'2" is still on the shorter side if you want to play in the NBA. Right. A few more inches would have been helpful. But yet he didn't give up. And he, had all sorts of roadblocks. He ended up playing in Spain and Australia and just different leagues to try and make it to the NBA, and it never worked out. So in his 20s, he had to give up that dream. So then he had this dream of being a coach, and he achieved that. He was on the Brooklyn Nets coaching staff and helped them go from like 28th in shooting to 2nd, which is pretty good, like outstanding. That was his expertise, amongst other things, is shooting. And yet a new coach comes in, and as often happens, the new coach wants his own staff. Well, that's common, but I'm sure David felt at the time, are you kidding me? Look what I've done. From 28th to 2nd in shooting, you're going to fire me? And it's like, I'm sure they probably said things like, it's not personal, but we're going in a different direction, all those wonderful phrases that we hate to hear. And so he was out of a job. But yet, both of those crucibles, both not making it into the NBA and then getting fired as a coach in the NBA. Yes, I'm sure there were periods of being angry and frustrated, but yet he didn't let that get him down. And I think one of the keys was his faith in Christ, which happened during his college years, gave him a different perspective that we're not defined by each individual, failure. Life's a journey. What can you learn from it? So his capacity to learn and think differently is crazy. He's done bold things that I've rarely heard anybody do. Like when one of the reasons he got into the NBA as a coach is he wrote handwritten letters to the 30 general managers of the NBA. Now, after a month and a half, one got back, he, talked about himself and maybe a few things about the team. And that one relationship led to others that then led him to being in the coaching staff in the NBA. Well, his philosophy about networking, which is not networking. The story he shared where he meets Mark Cuban, the then owner of the Dallas Mavericks when the Brooklyn Nets were playing the Mavericks, and is out there before the game shooting. And David Nurse, being an expert on shooting, gave him a couple tips and said, would you want me to give you some more tips? Sure. So he gave him his email and he gave him a bunch of tips on how to shoot better. And it really helped. Not once did he ask Mark Cuban, who's a billionaire, for help with anything. Now, who does that? I've never heard of anybody you think, Mark Cuban, he can take me to the next level in basketball or anything else. Remember at the time, he's on the coaching staff of the Nets. So his focus on giving to others and just almost this ministry mindset of so many stories in his book of how he's tried to help others. He's been successful, but not because he's put his own agenda first. He's really, in a sense, tried to put the Lord's agenda first, be it in his marriage or in his career, and is constantly saying, okay, so this didn't work out. So Lord, what's the plan here? What am I meant to learn? He has this almost superhuman, I'd say God-given mindset about not letting failure get him down and saying, okay, he has massive persistence, massive courage of trying things, no lack of courage here. But yet he is not defined by his worst day or, his worst, getting fired. His mindset and the way he chooses to look at life, we can learn a huge amount from as we all go through the challenges we have in life.